Ever wondered what could plunge the entire world into a catastrophic war? We're talking about World War I, the Great War, a conflict so devastating it claimed over 21 million lives, both soldiers and civilians. It completely redrew the map of Europe and changed the course of history forever. But how did it all begin? It wasn't just one single event, but a complex web of long-term tensions. To understand it, we can use a simple acronym, MAIN: militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. Let's break down each of these causes and see how they created a powder keg just waiting for a spark. First up, let's talk about M for militarism. In the decades leading up to 1914, Europe was caught in a massive arms race. Countries were pouring incredible amounts of money into building bigger, stronger, and more technologically advanced militaries. It was all about projecting power and deterring potential enemies. Germany, for instance, was rapidly expanding its army, which naturally made its neighbors, like France and Russia, very nervous. So what did they do? They expanded their armies too. It became a vicious cycle. But the real showstopper was the naval race between Great Britain and Germany. For centuries, Britain's Royal Navy had ruled the waves, protecting its vast overseas empire. When Germany decided to build a fleet of powerful battleships, the dreadnoughts, to challenge British naval supremacy, it was seen as a direct threat. This competition wasn't just about ships. It was a symbol of national pride and industrial might. Military leaders began to have a much greater influence on political decisions. War plans were drawn up, not as a what if, but as a when. The popular belief was that any future war would be swift and glorious, a quick, decisive affair. This glorification of military power and the constant preparation for conflict created an environment where war seemed like a logical, even desirable, solution to diplomatic problems. Next, we have A for alliances. Imagine a school playground where everyone has picked a team. If a fight breaks out between two kids, suddenly everyone on their teams has to jump in. That's essentially what happened in Europe. The continent was divided into two major armed camps. On one side, you had the Triple Entente. This alliance brought together France, Russia, and Great Britain. Initially, it started with France and Russia teaming up, mainly out of fear of Germany's growing power. Later, Britain, concerned about Germany's naval ambitions and its own colonial security, joined them, forming the Entente. On the other side was the Triple Alliance, consisting of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. Germany and Austria-Hungary were closely linked by shared language and culture, and they saw Russia as a major threat to their east. Italy joined them, partly out of frustration with France over colonial disputes in North Africa. These alliances were meant to be defensive, to create a balance of power and keep the peace. The idea was that an attack on one member would be an attack on all, making any potential aggressor think twice. But in reality, they did the opposite. Instead of preventing war, they created a domino effect. A small regional conflict could now quickly escalate into a massive, continent-wide war because every country was obligated by treaty to defend its allies. There was no room for de-escalation. The system was too rigid. Now for the I in MAIN. Imperialism. This is all about the scramble for empire. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the major European powers had carved up much of Africa and Asia, creating vast overseas empires. Why? For resources, new markets for their goods, and of course, for prestige. Having a large empire was a status symbol, proof of a nation's greatness. This competition for colonies created intense rivalries. Britain and France had massive empires, and a newcomer on the scene, Germany, felt left out. Germany wanted its place in the sun, and this ambition put it in direct conflict with the established imperial powers. Think of it like a board game where all the good properties have been taken. Germany's attempts to gain colonial territory for example in Morocco, led to several international crises that nearly sparked a war with France and Britain. These colonial disputes fueled mistrust and animosity. Back in Europe, the empires weren't just distant lands on a map. They were sources of economic and military strength. The competition to control these resources and strategic locations meant that a conflict could ignite anywhere in the world and quickly spread back to the European heartland. Imperialism raised the stakes, turning diplomatic disagreements into global power struggles. Finally, we arrive at N for nationalism. This is perhaps the most explosive and personal of the four causes. Nationalism is an intense form of patriotism, a feeling that your country and your ethnic group are superior to all others. In the early 20th century, this was a powerful force across Europe. It led to a strong desire among many people to see their nation as dominant and powerful. But nationalism had another, equally volatile side, the desire for self-determination. Many ethnic groups were living under the rule of large, multi-ethnic empires, like the Austro-Hungarian Empire or the Ottoman Empire. Serbs, Czechs, Poles, and others dreamed of breaking away from these empires to form their own independent nations. The Balkan Peninsula in southeastern Europe was a hotbed of this kind of nationalist tension. It was known as the powder keg of Europe. Russia, seeing itself as the protector of all Slavic peoples, supported groups like the Serbs. Austria-Hungary, a fragile empire made up of many different ethnic groups, saw Serbian nationalism as a direct threat to its very existence. It feared that if the Serbs were successful, other groups within its borders would demand independence too, leading to the empire's collapse. This clash of big power ambitions and small group aspirations created an incredibly tense and unstable situation, ready to explode at any moment. So we have the stage set, a continent armed to the teeth, divided into two hostile alliances, competing for empire and seething with nationalist fervor. All it needed was a spark to ignite the whole thing. That spark came on June 28, 1914, in the city of Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia, a province annexed by Austria-Hungary. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, was visiting the city with his wife Sophie. As their car drove through the streets, a young Serbian nationalist named Gavrilo Princip, a member of a radical group called the Black Hand, stepped out of the crowd and shot them both, killing them. This was the trigger. Austria-Hungary was outraged and determined to punish Serbia, which it blamed for orchestrating the assassination. It saw this as the perfect opportunity to crush Serbian nationalism once and for all. They issued a harsh ultimatum to Serbia, a list of demands so severe that it was almost impossible to accept. When Serbia couldn't agree to all the terms, Austria-Hungary declared war on July 28, 1914, and then the dominoes began to fall. Russia, Serbia's ally, began mobilizing its army to defend them. Germany, seeing Russia mobilize, declared war on Russia in support of Austria-Hungary. Then, Germany declared war on France, Russia's ally, and invaded Belgium to get to Paris quickly. The invasion of neutral Belgium brought Great Britain into the war to defend its ally. In just a few short weeks, the intricate system of alliances had dragged all the major powers of Europe into a massive conflict. So as you can see, the First World War didn't just happen because of an assassination. The murder of Archduke Franz Ferdinand was merely the lit match thrown onto a pile of dry tinder that had been accumulating for decades. The deep-seated forces of militarism, the rigid and entangling alliances, the bitter rivalries of imperialism, and the passionate, explosive energy of nationalism had created a situation where a major war was not just possible, but tragically, almost inevitable. Each factor fed into the others, creating a spiral of fear, mistrust, and aggression that ultimately led to one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. Understanding these MII causes is crucial to understanding not only why World War I happened, but also the world we live in today as many of these same tensions continue to shape international politics. Thanks for watching, and if you found this breakdown helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into history. See you next time.